On this week's Motor Week, we look at one of the highest performing value for money hot hatches you can buy, the Seat Leon Cupra. Staying on the hot hatch theme, there's another chance to see Richard Hammond's drive of the Lupo GTi, and we've our Lotus head-to-head between the V8 Esprit and the Exige. Nowadays, it seems the only thing on telly, apart from Motor Week, are gardening programmes and cooking shows. So to jump on the bandwagon, here's the Motor Week recipe to the perfect hot hatch. First of all, take one proven chassis, German if possible. Next, add a Rorty twin pipe exhaust. To improve presentation, add some colouring, yellow is good. Naturally, good seating's needed to aid digestion. And finally, add some spice in the shape of a turbo. Allow an enthusiastic driver to drool for around 20 minutes, then enjoy. The result of our culinary grafting, and that's kitchen work if you still live with your mum, is the Seat Leon Cupra. Pretty much the best of both worlds in the land of the hot hatch. German efficiency from VW combined with the Spanish flair from Seat, like bangers and mash. Very tasty. Now the Leon is based on the VW Golf, but whereas the German GTi is a little bit bulky and a bit tame, the Seat is much more in your face. For starters, we get a whopping 180 brake horsepower out of that 1.8 litre engine, and that's opposed to the puny 150 brake you get with the Golf. Now that means your 0 to 60 time is a stonking 7.7 seconds. Warm hatch, this ain't. Now the ride on the Leon isn't as refined as the Golf, but I reckon in a car like this that can be a good thing. I mean, sure, the Golf's going to be more comfortable on a 3-hour journey on the motorway, but you don't buy a 180 brake horsepower bright yellow hatchback for the motorway, you buy it for the bendy bits. And because you feel more of the road, it gives you more of an idea what the car's doing, and that gives you a bit more reassurance when you, shall we say, turn up the heat. The gearbox in the Leon is again taken from the Golf, so you can rest assured that it's not going to be a dog. Now it's not quite as smooth as my all-time favourite gearbox, that in the Lexus IS200, but it is still very slick. And it's a 6-speed box, so you can really work that engine. 180 brake horsepower in a front-wheel drive car is not small, and even with the traction control fitted, it is still easy to get the wheels spinning. Stop smiling, lads, that's not cool anymore. In the wet, the Cupra could be a bit of a handful, especially with that turbo kicking in at only 2,500 revs. Again, because of that VW tie-in, the build quality and materials used on the Leon are superb. Inside, there's no clutter that you don't need, but lots of stuff you do. Aircon, electric windows and mirrors, driver and passenger airbags, power steering, and the best bit is an awesome 2,000 watt hi-fi install in the boot. Alright, so I made that bit up, but there's loads of room if you want to fit one. You do get a great 6-disc changer though. Now thankfully, one thing that the Seat doesn't share with the Golf is the price tag. And it's not that the Golf's expensive, more than this is cracking value for money. And at just under 15 grand, it's about 1,500 quid less than the Golf. And don't forget, you get a shed load more power, and it's a huge big oven of fun. One trade-off with the extra power is that it's insurance group 16, which if you're just out of short pants will be a problem, but if you wore hot pants the first time round it won't be. Oh, and the other thing is it's yellow. Honey to the bee, scally to your Leon. Keep it in your bedroom and you won't have a problem. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm 29 and I still don't know how to cook, not a clue. Spend all my time in cars. Can't cook, won't cook, can't be arsed learning how to cook, but at least with this job you can have your cake and eat it.
Rich, they said, you're going to be driving a Volkswagen Lupo. Me, I said, alone with the Lupo, the smallest car in Volkswagen's range, and a shopping cart to boot. Oh, I can barely contain myself. Yes, they said, you are, but it is the GTi. Well, that does make a bit of a difference. Before we even get to thinking of what it's like to drive, just take a gander at the thing. Everything's there, 15-inch alloys filling those flared arches to perfection. Side skirts, front and rear spoilers, chromed twin tailpipes. It may be small, but it looks hot. It's no swamp donkey on the inside either. Again, everything's here. Sport seats, leather covered, very supportive. We've got an aluminium and leather gear knob, chrome bezels around the instruments, that's chrome rings to you and me. And all of course finished to that usual high VW standard. It looks and feels great and will do 20 years from now. It's named after the Latin word for wolf, you know, the Lupo. The GTi's 1.6 engine delivers 125 brake horsepower at 6,500 RPM, which will power the baby VW to a none too shabby 127 miles an hour. Add this to a 0 to 60 time of 8.3 seconds, and I'm sure you'll agree, none too shabby figures. It's not all good news though, as always, because there's a rather nasty-ish surprise lurking around the corner, and that's the ride and handling. At first you think, oh, feels like a hot hatch, nice and firm, predictable and grippy. But actually, it's a bit too bouncy. It's as though either the car's too light or the damping setup wrong. So it tends to bounce and rebound off bumps and float over them, rather than stick to the road properly, which is a real shame, because that engine deserves better. That said, it ain't slow, it ain't wallowy, it ain't a pig to drive, it's still going to look and feel good. It may well be that it's a small car, but it still comes with a hefty price tag at just under 13 grand. But just because it is small doesn't mean it has to be cheap. Think about Diamonds and Kylie Minogue. They're small and they're not cheap. You've got to look at its size as a positive thing. Add to that the great engine, good looks and VW build quality, and suddenly the idea of a palm-top GTi starts to have some appeal.
Hello children, I'd like to play a little word game with you. I'd like you to think of as many words as you can to describe this car. Cute. Stylish. Small. Cuddly. And girly. Now that's the end of the word game, but what does it reveal? Well, that the Vauxhall Tigre very definitely gets the thumbs up. You've got to be honest and say that most buyers for the Tigre are usually females, which is why that girly tag has stuck. But I'm not ashamed to drive around in this car. It's nimble, it's easy to park, and above all, in a dull world, it's a bit of fun. This is a P-Reg 1.4 Auto, it's done 41,000 miles, and this would cost about £6,000. So, what's available in the Tigre range? Well, to say it's limited is rather an understatement. Just two engines to choose from, a 1.4 or a 1.6, plus you can have a 1.4 Auto like this. 89 brake horsepower for the 1.4, 104 for the 1.6. Problems on the Tigre to look out for? Well, make sure electrics work, like the windows and the mirrors, and there are no water leaks in the boot. In 1997, there was a recall to check a faulty cam belt idler pulley. See if the one that you're looking at had that checked. Since 1994, when they decided to come up with a different concept based on the popular Corsa, Vauxhall have had a bit of a hit on their hands. You don't see that many Tigres about, but they do sell well, and as a used car, are a great buy. Inside, well, you get the standard Vauxhall look, which can be a bit mundane on some cars, but not on the Tigre. There are seats in the back, but if you're over 5'10" tall, you won't want to spend too long sat back there. The boot's not bad for size either, plus the rear seats fold to give you that extra luggage space, but if you're thinking you're going to get Aunt Sally's Chippendale chest in there, forget it. Once you get out on the road, this is actually quite a pleasant car to drive. The steering is sharper and more responsive than on the Corsa, and even this 1.4 Auto still feels fairly quick. Equipment levels are high too. We've already mentioned that it's got electric windows and electric mirrors. Plus this has got power assisted steering, it's got a driver's airbag, it's got an electric sunroof, and you get alloy wheels on the 1.6 model. So here's our guide of what to pay for a Tigre. An M-Reg car, a 1.4 auto with 60,000 miles, around £4,000. An R-Reg 1.4, 31,000 miles for £7,000. An N-Reg 1.6, 39,000 miles for under £6,000, or an X-Reg 1.6 for £10,500. Plus, there are also a few special edition models around with some nice extras on. But I recommend the Tigre. It's cheap to run, it looks good, and it's stylish, a bit like Claudia Schiffer, really. That's this week's One Careful Owner tip, the Vauxhall Tigre.
That's it for part one, but after the break, we've our behind-the-scenes look at the Hungarian Grand Prix and our Lotus head-to-head.
The Lotus Esprit has been around for 25 years now, but the Giorgetto Giugiaro shape is almost a classic.
Hang on a minute.
And a few years ago,
this
car's got an infusion of power with a beautiful
V8s. They're all viewers. You want one of these? An Exige, lightweight, carbon fibre, highly tuned engines.
Well, if you think that's so good, there's only one way to settle this: out there on the track.
On the track, eh? Sounds like fighting talk to me.
Let's see how it goes. So the two contenders in the silver corner, the latest Lotus Esprit. Twin turbos, 3.5 litre V8 Lotus engine, 350 brake horsepower. Handling to die for, huge brakes, beautifully trimmed inside, and a superb CD system and air conditioning.
In the orange corner, it's the Lotus Exige, based on the Elise, but after a dose of steroids, 190 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in just over 4.5 seconds, handling to die for, and with more attitude than Mike Tyson after a bad day at the office. Right then, Chris, are you sure you want to do this? Your last chance to pull out, mate.
I'm trembling in my racing boots, you know. Now, don't forget what I told you, this is almost a full racing car. Don't back off at the chicane, throw it into the hairpin, catch the tail, power it out. You all right?
I know what I'm doing, mate. Here we go. Come on, let's go.
Right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go!
So here we go then.
Call that a racing start.
First off, we've got the very big straight. And I guess the idea here is just cane it. I'm coming down here, this chicane's looming and I can just see a big wall of tyres. There we go, now the instructor said something about taking it nice and smooth through here. Whip, whip. Oh, so far so good.
I can't hear much tyre squeal down there. Round the bottom bend.
And here we go, turn in. Now I was turning in way too early on this one. Oh, look at that. About halfway round. Oh, Goffy, you're going to have your work cut out for this one, lad.
Come on, Rob, where are you?
Oh, then my seat moved. That's not the only thing that moved either. Push it round. Oh, that's one done. Here we go. Oh! And right over for this one. Oh, what's my time going to be? What's my time going to be? Oh, round. Hey, there we go. Keep my dust, Chris Coffin. What was the time?
1 minute 16 seconds.
You're not going to beat that, you know.
You should.
You big old V8 tank.
In a car like this, you should be ashamed of yourself.
You can't be lightweight in youth, Chris. That's what my mother always said. Right then, Chris, 1 minute 15 to beat. Now, because it's you and because I like you, I'm going to let you pull out at this point to save embarrassment, because the car ran, well, maybe a little bit past it.
Bit grey, do you think, around the edges?
I don't like to say, but yeah, basically, Chris.
This is smooth power. None of this lightweight construction and screaming engines, just smooth, brute power.
I hear what you're saying, mate, but in 3 minutes when you come past, I won't be here. I'll have gone home to Manchester. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go!
Right, trying a bit harder now. Back onto the straight.
Right, 10 seconds. He's out of the chicane, which is good.
80, 90, 100, 110, heading for the chicane, 120, backing off, far too early, I should have kept my foot in a lot more.
Oh, he's caning it.
Down a gear for this long hairpin, feel the back step out there, back on the power. Much too slow through there, 80, 90, but I must have beaten his time. Oh, I'm getting old and chicken. Look at this, backing off far too early here for this gentle curve. Bounce the car on the way in, on the brakes, get the speed down. In we go, round to the tipping point, power on.
Pop a tyre. Slow down. Oh my God. I'm going to slow him down and... Oh no! 1 minute 4. Not one word, not one. Okay, here we go. Well done. 1 minute 4. Lucky.
1 minute 4.
Yeah.
Well, you see, you don't like to throw these things around like a hooligan. It's an Executive Express, just smooth progress. That's the answer to it. And you guys who go roaring around, I mean...
Well done then, mate. You beat me fairly and squarely in the end. Perhaps a bit too much of that for me, but 12 seconds isn't that much of a difference, is it, on this circuit?
Well, to be fair, around here, 12 seconds is a lifetime. I mean, I could get even more grey waiting for you to come round.
Fair enough. It was good fun though, wasn't it?
They're brilliant cars, aren't
Awesome.
they? They handle so well. I mean, you know, it's just enormous fun round this test track.
Yeah. What a day.
Excellent. Brilliant day.
So tell me again about this Apex lark.
Well, you throw the car in, as you feel the back end start to go, catch it, floor it, boing.
This week in our Formula One Roundup, we visit the home of British-American racing for their mid-season reflection.
Well, it's been the lowest blip so far, Canada. It was the hardest weekend of the year because it started off badly with a very bad accident and just went downhill from there. We actually managed to get sessions where we couldn't get one of the cars out, and that always costs about 0.2 of a second. But in general, the season started off in a very bad way, and we started to get better and better and better until we got to Canada. We're very optimistic for the second half. We know that our development rate is pretty fast. It's faster than most of, let's just say, the second division teams. And the second division teams, in my mind, are the teams after McLaren, Ferrari and Williams. So we have every chance of catching them up and reaching our goals, which is probably the 3rd or 4th in the championship. When we started off, it was a question that British American Racing was racing against Minardi, Jordan, Williams, McLaren, and now we're racing against Ferrari, Mercedes, BMW, Renault, Jaguar. It's not just going to be plain sailing. What we have to do is make sure that we can compete against manufacturers and work out a way to be able to do that. It's going to be very difficult, there's no question about that, but we think we can step up to it.
Well, good luck to BAR for the rest of the season, who led us behind the scenes for their pit stop procedure practice at Centre Pod. Here, everyone's got to work as a team, and every split second counts.
Well, that's it for Motor Week this week, but on next week's programme, we go from Lotus to Subaru as Richard Hammond has a dual test looking at the old and new Subaru WRX.